This is the Pam Souter Podcast. With over 2 decades of field and corporate experience and voted one of the most influential women in direct selling, Pam helps mesh the daily needs of distributors to everyday life challenges. It's time to get over yourself, fire up your productivity, work less, and live more. Learn the self-limiting hashtag F-bombs holding you back, fear, frustration, and failures, and turn those F-bombs into friendships, fun, and freedom. Ready? Let's get this party started.
All right, everybody. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I am sitting here with somebody so very special to me. My daughter, Kaye Dixon. Kaye, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
All right, so this brings back memories. I remember when I first started in the industry of network marketing. Now we call it also social selling. This was back in 1994. Now, I wasn't a success at all. You know, it took me about 6 months to really get started. But once I did, I put a system in play, and the system was VHS tapes. So I'm really dating myself. This was 1995. And so I blew out a couple VCRs making copies of these tapes, Kaye. And I look over one day, and you are mouthing the words off this tape. You had it memorized. Do you remember that?
I remember. I think I could still repeat it if I tried.
All right. So fast forward, it is 2018, and you've been a part of this industry for how long now?
It'll be 10 years next month.
10 years next month. So let's talk a little bit about how this all started. You know, I started this company, It Works Global, in 2001 by discovering that crazy rap thing. And you were young. You were a teenager. And so life was going along for you really, really well. You weren't really focused on mom or dad or what we were doing. You knew we were on to something. But tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, I think looking back on it, I always remember you all being just so active in our lives, but also active working. So you starting something new wasn't foreign to me. You know, you starting something new was exciting for our family. And so I just remember being in the kitchen of our house. I was 12 years old when you first tried our wrap. Mm-hmm. And that was really your first experience with our product. And of course, our product line is it has expanded over 18 years. And I just remember the excitement. I remember the excitement of the curiosity. Is this really going to work? Really just being there as your cheerleader, go mom, okay, let's see if this thing works. Let's see how this does. And just being excited. And that was the general kind of energy in the room and in the household. And so that was, with It Works, that was my first experience. So growing up, it was about family and you doing really great things for our family. And so, no, it wasn't foreign. It was just exciting.
Yeah. And, you also watched our family evolve through experiences. We call them adventures and things that we did. We always had a great family life. Mm-hmm. And I never really remember wanting for anything. We always did well with the income that we had coming in. We were fortunate not to have a lot of debt other than that typical debt of a mortgage. We were very careful about our cars that we purchased. I remember taking you shopping twice a year. We would get it, take a friend and go on these big shopping adventures and get your summer clothes and then get your fall clothes. And so your life was really normal growing up, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel very blessed looking back on it. Now having 2 boys of my own and raising a family, and I can see where that imprinted in me to make sure that my kids have adventure. And that's what you guys did. I mean, I remember, regardless of now being a parent and just being aware, regardless of maybe how much money we did or did not have, you guys made sure we had fun, whether it was dad's work trips where we went away for the summer and stayed at the the Ramada in Virginia Beach, and
Oh, yeah.
ceiling fans were kind of loose in the ceiling by the pool. I remember things like that, just being excited to go to the room to get snacks and to just all the things that were provided for us that we thought were the big things, because you all never shied away from showing us how much fun we could have with whatever we had. And that's how we grew up. And I look back at all those wonderful trips that we took together. I remember you took me to New York for my 16th birthday. I don't think you had ever been to New
I
York.
hadn't. It was my first trip.
It was your first trip. And of course, it was my first trip. And I was so curious about the fashion industry at the time. And so you took me to New York and we had a big old time. And, maybe looking back on it, you had a specific budget, but you didn't make me feel like I had a budget. You were there to show me a good time, and we were there to have a good time together. And I so appreciate every single one of those moments.
I do remember being on the plane. I brought an envelope out, and I had saved all my wrap cash and showed you that envelope. I said, all right, this is our fun money. Dad doesn't really know I have this. So we're just going to really have a good time with that. And I loved it. I remember going into, because you were really into fashion, ended up majoring in that, going into a store in Soho, and you kind of looked around and you asked the clerk there, hey, what's your average price point? And I went, what? Where did she get that? And you knew through that how many items you could possibly buy. So you've always had a marketing mind. You've always had a fashion mind. And so you go to school. You end up going to VCU, which was a great experience for you. Senior year, you had a pivotal moment. We were on a train going to Rome, and you had studied in Florence. So talk a little bit about that and what was going on in your mind.
Well, I had decided that I was going to go into the fashion merchandising industry, where I was really desiring to be a buyer, and went to VCU, had a phenomenal experience there, was about to graduate with a BA in arts. But the economy was crashing, and this was 2008. So I think, everybody can relate to this time in some way, shape, or form, whether you were in school or your parents went through a hard time financially, or you yourself went through a hard time financially. And the economy was crashing, so the fashion industry was starting to shift. I know Facebook had just kind of come out, and even people starting to social sell, as we call it there, on Facebook. And so things were shifting. Instagram wasn't even out yet, which is just mind-blowing. But as a student in the fashion industry, we were starting to see trends shift. Things became depressing. This is when things were gray, dismal, black. People were using accessories to pop color on their bodies because that's all they could afford. And as a fashion major, I was starting to question, is this really an industry for me? Because it became a challenge to sell, whereas before it was fun. And I've always been the type of person that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it because it's fun. I enjoy it. It inspires me. It enlightens me. It helps me go to the next level. And so I had the opportunity to study abroad. I had some credits I could take, and I thought, you know what? I've never been to Europe. I thought in my mind, I always want international business someday. I didn't even know what that looked like. I just knew I wanted an international business. I wanted to be able to travel the world and have amazing experiences. And I look back now and go, oh, you taught me that. You and Dad showed me that experiences are what teach us in life. Life experience teaches, doesn't it? And so I had the ability to study abroad. And so I went for one full semester. It was actually 10 years ago this month, this quarter, which is just amazing. And I had 9 roommates, all female, and we were living in one apartment together. We had one working shower. We had 5 bedrooms. We had 3 bathrooms, but one working shower. We had a teeny tiny little washing machine that was always clogged with hair and, bobby pins and all kinds of stuff. And we thought, wow, this is interesting. And so my mind was expanding. I had learned how to live with less and have more life experience than ever, and learn from that so deeply. We didn't even have an oven. I remember at Thanksgiving, we had a local restaurant bake us a turkey in their oven so that we could have Thanksgiving and we could appreciate, our, where we come from in America. So it was so interesting. But being there, I had taken a ton of products with me. I had all of our supplements, our body wraps. I was passionately talking about our products. One of the girls would get a cold. I'd be giving them our greens. Someone didn't like their chin, so I was wrapping them in the apartment. And I thought, I like this. I'm passionate about this. This is something that is natural to me. I grew up with these products, so I know them. And I loved that I could inspire even 9 amazing women that are around me to use what we had. So for the first time in my entire life, I had asked you on that train ride. We were actually going from Rome to Sorrento. We were going to spend 5 days over Christmas. You, Dad, and my brother Adam, you'd come over for 10 days so we could spend time together. And it was your first time in Europe, too. So it was all of a new experience to all of us, going to Sorrento for the first time. And I looked at you and I said, Mom, could you just show me what it is that you do? Because I'd never asked. I had always been curious, but more your cheerleader. And so for the first time I asked you, what do you do? And you just jaw to the floor. You couldn't believe it. I was actually asking. I was interested. You could not believe it, but you were excited. And so you got out a napkin. And on that train, I wish I had it. I'd have it framed because it's just so special how simple it is. You drew out our simple steps to success. And you said to me, if you do this and you repeat this to everyone around you, live passionately through these steps, you will be a millionaire in this company. And you were right.
Wow. When I think back about that, so many factors came into play. And the economy was tanking. I remember you saying, my friends that have already graduated can't find jobs. They're back doing waiting tables, living on their parents' couches.
Correct.
At their homes. Some people are still suffering from that. It's been 10 years later. And so I think now when I look at that very pivotal moment that I think about it, you were lit up. I could tell that it was an honest, sincere question. It just wasn't, hey, Mom, what do you do? It was like thinking, can I do this? Is this something that I could honestly do? And I was very proud of that. And I was very excited about that. And here's another beautiful thing that I've been taught all along, and I realize with people is you lay it out there for them, which we did, and then we really didn't talk about it again. I let you process that information. You'd ask me a question here and there, but then you asked, okay, now what? What do I do? I'm going back now. I'll be back in Virginia. Where do I start? And so talk about that a little bit, because a little bit of fear set in. I said, all right, now you're going to join. You're going to join. You're going to be in Richmond, and I'm going to be in Roanoke. I'm not going to be right there beside of you. I'm not going to be able to hold your hand through this. Now, you had been at a few parties with me, what we call wrap parties. You had experienced some of that, just as on the sides, just helping me out. Mm-hmm. So what happened when you got home?
Yeah, so the fear did set in, but I look back, gosh, my goodness, fear of being able to live up to your shoes, fear of, are people going to take me seriously because you had built such an incredible business, and I didn't know if they would listen to me. Was I too young? Did I have the skills? I had never done anything like this before. So all these thoughts started going in my mind, but you were always right there to assure me that I could do it. I could do it, and I could do it on my own. I didn't need you, but you were there if I had a question. And so I was living 3 hours away, and I remember you said I needed to have a wrap party. We did a whole lot of in-home parties back in the day, and we still do them today, but it's become a lot of social too. And so I had asked my girlfriend Jennifer, who was like my right-hand man all through school. She was the socialite. I was more of like, I'm a good student. I like to work out. I kind of held back a little bit. Not so much my personality today, but back then, that's kind of how I operated. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, Jennifer's connected. she's the socialite. She's got all these friends. She was in a sorority. So I said, Jennifer, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to have a wrap party for me. And I hadn't even moved into my apartment yet. My apartment wasn't even ready yet. I was 3 weeks in to January 2009, my final year of college. And Jennifer hosted a party for me. It was a Saturday morning. I think it was around 11 o'clock, and it was snowing. And I thought, who is going to come? Who's going to come? It's snowing. It's cold out. No one's going to come. And I just started to get all that fear started boiling up in me again. But 6 girls came to her apartment that day, and they all tried our product. They all became my customers. So as a college student, I was making wrap cash. I was making residual income from the start, and I showed myself that I was good at it. I had a friend come and help me because I said, you got to come help me. I'm so nervous. I don't know if I could do this on my own, just to be there to support me. And I saw so much excitement and felt so much excitement that day over our product and felt confident. So I went to work after that. I had a whole year left of college, and I thought, my gosh, if I could just make $500 a month, then I may not have to be one of those kids sleeping on their parents' couch when I graduate. It's possible that I could just be at least comfortable. But this business proved to me so much more than that. It became a 5-figure monthly business within my first year, graduating college at 22 years old. And that was just amazing.
And I remember you went in to your professors and asked if you could intern with me that summer.
Correct. Yeah.
And you asked me first, obviously. I said, sure, you can travel with me and just be behind the scenes and watch and listen. And you did that. What was that experience like? Because I remember we were all over the place.
Oh, gosh, if everyone could have that experience. It was so lovely because they didn't let me intern with you because you were my family. Mm-hmm. And I guess they didn't take it seriously. They didn't really take it seriously. They didn't take the industry seriously. They thought you're doing that network marketing thing. Yep. And I just looked at them confidently, bold in the face. Yes, I am. And I'm loving it, So I went anyway. I interned with you anyway. I, foregoed any credit that I would get and said, I'm going to just commit this entire summer to working my business with you on the road. I went everywhere you went. I remember being in the back seat of a car. We were being driven by a team member, and it was late. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. And I had passed out. We had been at an event after an event after an event. And I wake up and you're on the phone. And I'm going, who in the world are you talking to at 1 o'clock in the morning? She goes, someone from California. And I thought, wow, you really showed me what it takes to be committed to this because you committed all hours of the day, no matter what. And I realize now that it's because your vision was so strong. And so I learned that summer how to work. I learned that summer how to work unapologetically, how to work anyway, how to work towards my dream. And I believe that's what catapulted me from where I was to that 5-figure monthly income because I saw the work ethic and I experienced it. And after that, I had a hard time graduating. I remember you going, just please, just finish. You have one semester because I saw so much more for myself that I felt like I was learning in school, and that's okay.
Okay, so you had set a goal that when you graduated, you wanted a certain amount of income coming in. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was $10,000.
I know, $10,000 a month.
Yeah, because I had started at $500, and so $500 came pretty quickly. It came through cash, it came through bonuses, it came through residual, but I was consistently making $500 a month. And then I remember going, ooh, if I could make 1,000. And that 1,000 became 2,000. That started happening pretty rapidly. And then by summer, so that was January starting. By summer, I was making $5,000 a month. And I thought, ooh, man, I remember specifically journaling. I sat on this, we were on vacation with my cousin and my aunt and your sister, and we were on this week-long vacation, and I sat down on this little twin bed in our little condo that we rented from a friend. And I sat down on that twin bed and journaled out my $10,000 a month income, what that would feel like, what that would look like, how I was doing it, just that it was manifested in my life. It felt so real. And rapidly after that, it became $10,000 a month. I remember driving home. I had just turned in my final project. I was graduating. I chose not to walk at graduation. I was so on fire for this business that I was coming home. I wanted to come back to Roanoke and build a business close to you and just really go after this hard and start my life as a professional in this industry. And you called me. You checked my back office and you said, "You're freaking out. Do you have any idea what your check is? Oh my gosh." And I'm like, "Tell me." And my car was packed to the brim with just extras from my apartment. And I was driving down the road, and just that feeling of turning in that final project so confidently that I was in the right direction. And you called me and you said, "It's 9,000 something, something, something." And I'm like, "It's 10,000. I didn't care if it was 9,500.
I think it was $9,982, something like that.
It was so close. I didn't care. To me, I had made $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
And consistently did after that, and it grew. And I decided that this was going to be it for me. Why wouldn't I? I didn't know anybody was hiring right out of college.
Much less, I look back on our life. It took your dad probably 2 decades to get to that amount of money and a full-time position with a lot of travel, a lot of sacrifices. And it's hard for people to understand that, Kaye. And now we're fast forwarding now 10 years, and it is been an amazing journey for you. Now you've got a family, you've got 2 small children, and you are now able to stay home with them and be a full-time parent, you and Scott both, which is just incredible, a legacy that I had no idea that would even happen for us, because that wasn't my focus at the time. But now that I see it in hindsight, I think I would have worked even more. And I don't know how I could have possibly, but just to know that our future families' lives are changed forever. All right, so now let's fast forward 10 years. A lot of life has happened, especially for our family. Now you're a mom with 2 young boys. And when I think back about that legacy that we have built, and we've built this together, and look at how our lives have evolved, how they've changed, and what the future is for your 2 sons and hopefully more children to come. And for you and Scott, being full-time work-at-home parents. And one of the biggest questions that I get from moms and dads all over the world is, how can I be that parent, and how can I be that full-time or part-time or spare time, whatever they choose, at-home work parent too?
It is such a loaded question, and I answer it so lovingly. And because I look at my kids and know that mom guilt is so real. I joined this business for the lifestyle. I wanted the fun, the adventure, the excitement, the lifestyle, just the financial freedom and the independence and the adventures. And then I became a mom, and I, that moment, that first baby is put on your chest, your whole life changes, and your desire changes, your need changes, your want changes. So in this business, I had that shift. I became a mom way more than halfway through my career with this business. And that moment that Kennedy was laid on my chest, I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to do it all? Because I didn't want to leave him. I didn't want to miss anything. But because of this business, I really haven't had to. But it does take such discipline, and I do encourage all moms and dads that they can do it all. But you have to make decisions. So if you're just getting started, we have to kind of compartmentalize this a little bit, because if you're just getting started, you don't really have a lot of the resources. I look at our life now. We do have a nanny. She's amazing. She's with us 3 days a week. That does help things. So we got to be real about this. When you're just getting started, you may not have those resources. So you may have to rely on someone to help. I know that Kennedy's preschool started out as a mom's morning out, where you could drop off your kids in the morning, you could go get a couple of hours of errands done, work out, take a breather, take a nap, whatever you needed to do. And so there are resources like that out there. I know even in the beginning, you've shared this with me, you would trade off babysitting. You would drop your kids off at a friend's house one Tuesday and you'd have them on Wednesday so that mom could also have some time to herself. So you have to make decisions where you do have to have work hours. It does have to happen that way. Just like when I joined, I had to decide when I was going to work. I didn't party on the weekends like the other college kids did. I did rap events. I set up expos. I did vendor shows because I decided that work mattered. And in this business, whether you're a mom, a dad, or you don't have children or you have a full-time job, you have to decide that this matters. And you have to make a decision that you're going to work your business. And for some of you, that may look like late in the evening. Sometimes it's that after bedtime for a few hours at night that you say, I am 100% focused. Honey, sorry, I'm not going to make it to bed on time tonight. I'm going to go into my office and hunker down for 3 hours, and I'm going to do my power hours, and I'm going to connect with my team, and I'm going to do my follow-up. But all of that matters. It may be that you do that in the morning. Maybe you're an early bird. You get up in the morning, you have your coffee, and you get to work for a couple hours before you go into your normal 9 to 5, and that's okay. But you have to decide to have work hours, and you have to commit to that, or I don't believe it works. Because when you're looking at this industry and you're looking forward into the future of what you're here to create, you're here to create time freedom, and you have to make shifts and adjustments in order for that to work. And for me, I always saw that because I always saw you doing that. As a child, I look back and go, well, you decided. You would have your door shut in your office with a note on the door, I'll be done in 30 minutes. And as brutal as that felt, 30 minutes felt like 3 days. I learned through you. You may have been out on a Tuesday night to do a meeting, but that meant Wednesday night you were at my softball game. You were present, fully there, fully present, throwing chairs when I messed up or something,
Well, you never messed up. I just threw chairs at the team in general.
Whatever, you know what I mean? You were fully present and just fully aware of what was going on with me as
Kaye,
young girl.
I honestly learned that through experience. That
Sure.
just didn't come all at once. When you join a business like this, you're so excited. It's something has clicked within you that inspires the heck out of you. Mm-hmm. You're like, wow, I have an opportunity here to take those adventures, make unlimited income, build a team. It's exuberant.
It is.
It's fun. It's exhilarating. And most of us just become alive at that point. Mm-hmm. We've kind of lost our dreams along the way. I was 38 when I started networking, so you were much younger. But for me, I'd been a stay-at-home mom for 7 years, and I'd lost myself in that. I say it's the best of times, it's the worst of times, mm-hmm. because it's great for the family, but you feel like you're still that girl, and you lose a little bit of yourself within that family dynamic because you're not talking to other people that are really inspiring you. You're talking to moms that are tired. You're talking to moms that are kind of feel beat up, have lost themselves too. I think that's why they all drink too much wine mm-hmm. and have those types of conversations that aren't fruitful. So I just made that decision that I could have it all, but I created that day over time. And I learned that you did need quality time mm-hmm. and you deserved quality time. And I didn't want to wake up one day like today and feel like I missed anything. So I scheduled. Yeah. And when you're in that hour of focused work, you're working.
Right. Because if you really ask people how many hours a day they work, whether it's a 9 to 5 or whatever kind of job it is, typically most people in sales work about 4 hours of their entire day.
Yes. And you can tell. I mean, I was in sales.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time wasted.
There's a lot of time wasted. And so when you are focused, it all starts to come together. And so I think the number one mistake that people make when they look at this industry or maybe this is just advertised too much is that we're work whenever you want to, work from the toilet, work from the bed, work. It's not true.
Yeah.
This business, if you just give it a couple solid hours a day to start, you could make a fortune. Because I look back at my first year going up to making a $10,000 a month paycheck, I worked a couple hours a day. The rest of my time was fully committed to my studies. So I was working at night in the library. I would take a break from studying and I would go, okay, I'm going to go in for a solid hour and I'm going to work for a solid hour right now towards my business. And I did that consistently. And I think that's what it is. It's not just on Monday and it's not just on Friday or whenever you feel like it. You make a decision to be disciplined and you do that every single day for a couple solid hours a day, your entire life can change. And then the freedom starts happening, doesn't it?
This is what I see too. There's a lot, I would say 90% of everybody that starts in this industry have a full-time job. They have a full-time job. Their spouse has a job. They 1 or 2, 3, 4 kids, and their lives are busy. Those kids are active, but they find that hour. They find that 2 hours, very structured, very focused. And then they come home. They want to be that work at home mom. They come home and then they have all day. And because of that mentality, I have all day, there's a lot of wasted time.
Sure.
And then their children are looking at them like, you're on your phone all the time. And they are. They're on their phone doing a 2-second message here or a 5-second message there when they could just say, all right, I'm going to put the phone down. I'm going to have quality time with my children right now and have a very detailed conversation if they're old enough with your spouse and your children to let them know that you are focused,
right,
that this is for their family. And so you put the phone down during those quality times and then you pick it up during your work time. And so I think that changing the mentality to we're at work at home moms and dads.
Absolutely.
And not stay at home. We're work at home. And changing that and structuring that day around a great day, just creating a phenomenal day. I mean, you are taking your children to swim lessons. You're now committed for 6 weeks. With Miles every single morning. And you've got a big business to run. I mean, you're running $1 million business within this industry. So let's close this out. And I can't wait to have you back because there's a lot of information here that we can share, some pitfalls, some questions that will probably be coming through this. But what could you say to that mom right now that's, I call it arguing for your limitations, arguing, I don't have enough time. I've got 3 kids. My spouse isn't supportive. What could you say to them so that they could feel empowered when they get off this podcast today?
As a mom and a wife, I say you've got to sit your spouse down and you've got to talk to them about your goal. You've got to look them in the eye and say, I am doing this for us and our kids. And you've got to have a goal as a family that feels good to all of you so that when you get up out of bed every day, you're excited about your goal. Yes, you have to go to work. You've got to put in the legwork. You've got to put in the phone calls. You've got to put in the Zooms. You've got to do your personal development. You've got to do all the things. But if you've got a goal that feels good to you and your spouse and your kids and what you're creating, you will get up inspired, at least to do the work. And I promise you, as that paycheck comes in with that first comma in it, and then that 2 digits to the left as it continues to grow, you're going to look back and you're not going to go, why'd that take so long? Or I'm so glad I got over myself or whatever. You're going to be so proud of yourself regardless because you did the work. You did it. So you've got to look your spouse in the eye today. Sit them down at the dinner table, wherever you have your best conversations, and say, I'm doing this for us. And then you have to make a decision that you're worth it. And you've got to be willing to work through the moments where you feel the self-doubt like I did, a little bit of fear sets in. And I've learned through all my coaching, you've got to do it anyway. You have to do it scared. You have to do it excited. You have to do it a little apprehensive. You've got to do it with a little anxiety. You have to do it anyway because you have to ask yourself, if I don't do this, what will my life look like 5 years from now? What will my life look like 10 years from now if I don't make this change now? And if that question to yourself doesn't get you up off your chair and get you doing something, I don't know what else will. So That's my best advice.
Powerful. I so loved hearing from you, Kaye. I know that our listeners are going to get so much out of this conversation, and I would love your Ask Pam questions. Make sure you go to pamsouter.com. I have a questionnaire there that you can fill out and send to me, and I'll answer your Ask Pam questions. Also, more podcasts are there for you. We so enjoyed being with you today, so we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Pam Souter Podcast. Be sure to check out my website at pamsouter.com. There you can get inspired, listen to more podcasts, read and submit Ask Pam questions that could be featured on an upcoming podcast episode. Be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And as always, much love and appreciation.